If I had lots of money, I mean a lot of money, I would buy this car in this color and do nothing with it and park it. This gets me right here. There are not a lot of vehicles that get me here. In fact, there are only 2 vehicles that get me here. Range Rover Classic pre 1978 and a Troopcarrier, new one. Yes, but what about G-Wagon? You know, 461, you owned a few of them. What about that, eh? Getting forgetful in your old age, eh? I'm Andrew St Pierre White. Join me as I share my passion for building 4-wheel drive trucks and then travelling to the remotest parts of the world. You know, the Troopcarrier it's a bit like the ugly duckling. I mean, when you look at it, it's just a little bit of a blob, you know, it's just a little van. But like the ugly duckling, its siblings kind of kick sand in its face. You know. Meanwhile, in its DNA is this. That's the DNA. That's inside here. You just can't see it. It's my job to bring it out. So Graham in California, congratulations. Here's your new Troopcarrier. You know, it's very nice driving a brand new smelly car out of a showroom. This is almost as exciting as the one that I did 2.5 years ago for myself. Every client is different, and Graham lives in the United States, in California, and wants to explore. He's done a lot of trips in the US in an 80 series Land Cruiser and wants to now explore in different countries, and wants a platform to do touring in Australia and touring in Africa and touring in Asia. And so Troopcarrier was his choice because he saw mine. But for those of you who don't really understand what the Troopcarrier is and why it's such a great platform for this kind of thing, is that, well, I can't think of another vehicle in the world that is a van and has the kind of 4-wheel drive and suspension that this vehicle has, stock. So, and some of the criticisms from people that don't understand the 70 series Land Cruiser is, oh, you've got to do so much of it before you... That's not the case at all. You don't have to do a thing. Okay, so for example, standard equipment, differential locks front and back. All right, manual transmission. There's no auto option. The suspension is as strong as it can be. They're designed to be abused. They're actually designed for less developed countries. That's what they're designed for. So they're designed for very heavy duty applications, heavy load, long life, bashed to pieces by drivers of companies, mining companies, farmers, NGOs that have very, very little mechanical sympathy. These vehicles are built to be abused, and I'm not saying that because it sounds like a whole of advertising hype. It's just the way they're made, and it's why they're still being made, and that's why they're still so popular. They're not popular because they're comfortable, because they're not comfortable. The suspension is deliberately made actually quite hard. This might sound a bit strange, but it's actually the truth. These vehicles are built with basic suspension to maintain safety. Are they particularly high on the safety? No, not particularly, but safe enough, comfortable enough. But the trouble is, if you make them too comfortable, then these same drivers that have they're lacking in mechanical sympathy, drive them as fast as they possibly can without thought for the vehicle. And it's the reason why the Land Rover Defender lost favor around the world during the period of the mid-80s. When the Defender came out, well, it wasn't called the Defender then, it was called the 110 and the 90, but they changed the hard, very uncomfortable, extremely robust, but basic leaf spring suspension, which this vehicle still has at the back. They changed it to a coil spring suspension, which was marvelous. Suddenly you could drive this thing over really rough terrain and it would just handle it. I drove both, and I know what an improvement it was. They lost huge sales because of it. Because what the NGOs and the mining companies and the farmers were doing, the vehicles were being crashed and rolled by these same drivers with no mechanical sympathy, who will just go as fast as they possibly can because they don't actually have a great deal between their ears. They just drive. They've got to go A, B, drive, let's get in, drive and come back, and they're not interested in the vehicle. It's not part of who they are. And it doesn't belong to them. So why should they look after it? And the reason why the 70 series is still being made today is because it's made a little bit uncomfortable, intentionally, if you like, because then now it's so flipping uncomfortable when over really rough terrain. You get thrown around like you cannot believe in this thing. It's terrible. So they slow down and don't crash. It's a great recipe, but for us, it's a great recipe too, because it's built to take this punishment, and all we have to do now is to tweak it. And once we've tweaked it, we've given it a better ride, we've put in better shock absorbers, we've got higher quality springing, we up the payload a little bit because we want to carry more load, because we want to go on trips. This can already do 1,200 kilometers range easily as it is, without making any changes at all. So we won't be changing, when we build this for Graham, we won't be changing the fuel system, not touching it. 1,000 kilometers I always regard as minimum. This exceeds that by quite a nice measure. Enough. If you want to carry extra fuel, there will be place inside the vehicle that I've set aside in the design, so he could carry an extra 40 litres if he really needed to, which, having owned 2 troop carriers, know that that's not very often. In fact, I've only needed it once. So, what else are we going to do? Well, we're going to turn it into a camper, comfortable camper. And the secret is this. Imagine you're driving and you're camping and you're in the wilderness and you are looking at the time and the sun's going down and you know of a campsite. And you're concerned with, we've got to get there before a certain time because we need to set up camp. Because we need to set up camp, how long is that window? How long do you need? You have to ask yourself. How long do you need to set up your camp? And you would like to do it before it gets dark, if possible. For one or more reasons. Is that 10 minutes? 20 minutes? I was once, a guy came to chat to me once, and he had a Land Rover 90, beautifully equipped, with a little camper trailer. And I said to him, he was doing some tyres things, and I was also changing tyres or something. I remember saying to him, you go camping, yeah? Nice setup. Yeah, I go camping. And I said, how long? Do you mind me asking, when you arrive at a campsite, how long does it take you to set up your camp, get ready? He was an Afrikaans Guy, he was in South Africa, he was an Afrikaans Guy. He says, no, my wife Elsa and I, we got it taped, eh? We got it taped. We're fast, eh? We both got our jobs to do. And I said, yeah, good, that's great. How long did it take you? No, we've got it sussed down to, man, it's just quick. And I said, yeah, how long? He says, man, 45 minutes tops, eh? 45 minutes? For me, that's really long. That means for somebody like him, he has to kind of think ahead. I'm driving along. I kind of need to get there before dark. I need to get there 45 minutes before dark, if I, ideally, if I could. So there's always a little bit of pressure. With this, it's not 45 minutes. It's 45 seconds. And I'm not exaggerating. My tent is up in 8 seconds. My chairs and tables are out the back in another 6. My kettle's boiling. I've got a little boiler. It boils water. It boils 2 cups of water in 1 minute. I can have a cup of hot tea in my hand within 2 minutes of arriving and turning off the engine. Cup of tea, table, chair, tent made. So now suddenly what that means, I mean, I know it sounds very fancy and all that, but what does that actually means that Graham, is no longer going to have to think, I have to get there because I need time to set up camp. You don't need time to set up camp. That is now vanished. Now there might be other issues to get there in time, but the I need time to set up camp has gone. So if you're driving all day and you're really hungry and you just want a quick snack or something and it's late and you've done a long day stretch and it's at the middle of the night, you don't need lighting. You don't, the basic lighting inside the vehicle is sufficient. You make yourself a quick meal and you go to bed. 0 effort. That is the development process that was involved when I designed and built that troop carrier. That's my second one. I will be doing exactly the same for Graham, but he has asked for a few other things that are particular to him. And that's what makes building every one of these so exciting, because while they're similar, none of them are the same. I invite you to follow the build, subscribe to the channel, and for notifications, click that little bell you see to the right of the subscribe button under the screen.